What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Recover Out Loud, episode number 73. Today, we got a pretty awesome guest, originally from Minnesota, now hailing from Lecce, Italy. We got Megan Riley. How you doing, Megan?
I'm so good. Thank you, Sean.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Megan, would you like to give a formal introduction of yourself?
Sure. My name is Megan Riley. I just recently moved to Lecce, Italy, and begin my digital nomad journey. I have, let's see, I was just thinking about all the different parts of addiction. Um, Grateful for 12 years cocaine free
That's awesome.
and 5.5 years alcohol free. 3 years cigarette free. That was a big one. And food, lifelong eating disorder, and codependency as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so proud of you right off the bat. I want to say I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
we were talking before we hit the record button about Lecce, a little bit about Lecce. What's the weather like right now over there?
It's about 35, so 95-ish. It's really warm.
Ooh.
It's really warm, and so I'm learning. Central air is not something that exists,
No.
at least that I have discovered. And so all of my not natural fibers are gone and in the trash. I came with a lot of polyester, and that's all except workout shorts. Those they're still. But I am on the search now, and I only look for this is like a whole world that just opened up. Only silk, only cotton, only linen. And it makes such a difference. Why did I not realize this before? I never got the memo.
Well, the thing is it's a different world, over in Europe and over specifically in Italy than it is in America. So, when I went over there, it was a complete culture shock for me.
Oh
Yeah. Was that
yeah.
the same for you?
It is. I had been to Italy a year ago, and that's really when I decided that I wanted to move here, and not to this area. And so coming down here, I'm down in the south. There are fewer people, many fewer people who speak English, which is good for me because I want to learn the language. I don't want to be the expat who surrounds themselves with other expats and never actually learns the language or anything. It's exhilarating and free and terrifying all at the same time.
Why is it terrifying?
Being so far out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm going to cough.
It's all right.
And being more in kind of a sense of survival, I notice that I spin out less, or I catch myself spinning out less.
Yeah.
There's so much more of my routine is gone. I have to find the gym. I have to find the grocery store. I have to find where I'm going to walk the dog. I brought my pit bull with me. I have to find where are the silk clothes. I have to find so all the little bullshit that I would spin out about is now gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now you find yourself, looking at more of the bigger, like a bigger picture of things versus the focusing on the small, minute details.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. That's
The
pretty awesome.
architecture, the quiet, being able to be in the quiet. I'd say spiritual practice is much deeper and more rich. Because I'm in a space where it's forced,
Yeah.
and then the energy around the states is it's really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like go, 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 go. Very negative a lot. And then you move over, like, when I was over there, when I lived in Italy, I took for granted a lot of things. And then
Mm.
when I moved back here, I was just sharing this with my girlfriend. I said I miss waking up to the smell of the cafes in the morning, right?
Right.
The where the coffee, the espressos being brewed, or the the pastries are being made. You can smell them
Yes.
coming out. And it's just so
Yes.
amazing.
you can smell. It's like smelling the dough and the chocolate and
Yeah.
things as they start to rise, and it mixes with the smell of the espresso, and there's something magic. It just wafts down the street. It
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. Or like being able to step outside and breathe much more fresh air than you would like in the
Mhm.
states. That to me,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the better things. And the food is much more healthier.
Oh, it's another reason why I left is the food's not trying to kill me.
Very true. Very true. Very
I
true.
can actually eat the food here, where there were most things in the States I really just couldn't eat. There are no GMOs in Europe, and so I can have all the things. And I smoked cigarettes for so long that I gave myself an allergy to nightshades
Wow.
in the States. And so I can't have any tomatoes or peppers or potatoes, eggplant, and even paprika, right? Because
Mhm.
paprika is a pepper. In the States, I swell up with hives and it's awful. Here, no worries. All
Wow.
good. Yes. And dairy, the cheese. Oh my gosh. Mm.
That's wild. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and step into it. What was it like in the active addiction for you?
That sucked.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. I was despair. It was really dark. And I really thought that if I were just strong enough, that if I just had the willpower, if I could just stop whatever the thing was, then it would be fine. And if I could just stop, if I could just stop this one thing, then everything would work out. And even being in the rooms and knowing that that wasn't the case, whatever the next thing was, because we peel back the layers and there's more and there's more and there's more, I still would relate to it. Like, if I could just stop this one thing, if I could just stop smoking, if I could just stop binge eating, if I could just stop controlling my food, right? And it just kept going and going. And it's insanity.
Yeah. Absolutely. When did your addiction start?
Hmm. I was about 12,
Hmm.
and I had been dieting for a few years already. And my parents were having a party, and there was catawba juice, and
Hmm.
then there was champagne in the fridge. And I took what I thought was catawba juice because that's what the kids can have. And I poured the whole bottle, and it wasn't catawba juice. And it was fabulous. I was free. I felt like for the first time, life made sense. I made sense. And I hear later that I was really messy. I didn't make any sense, and that it was awful. And my parents sat me down and shamed me, and that was bad, and you should have known. And I thought, I found the ticket. You don't understand. Like, you may not get it, but I get it now. And I was off to the races.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that so many times. That you know kids get shamed because of the use, but that's where it initially starts.
Mhm.
So where did after that first experience, how did that lead you later on in life to develop more of an addiction to it?
As a teenager, it was cool. It was the mid 80s. It was cool to drink. And I always seemed to be the person who was the crazy one. I always seemed to be the person who, Megan, you got a little out of hand last night. And I thought, didn't you watch Animal House? Like, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get crazy. This is how it works. And I none of that seemed like a red flag at the time.
Yeah, it never does.
Right? It was, for me, it was the only time I felt normal, was
Yeah,
to be just shit-faced,
yeah,
stumbling, falling down. It was the only time that I felt like I fit.
yeah. Did you? I know for me, when I got real bad into my alcoholism, I used to tell people you've never really met the real me until you met drunk me.
Mm.
right? Was that kind of like the sentiment that you held?
Yeah, I would kind of plan for who I wanted to come out that night. It was before I really lost control,
Mhm.
before it really went bad, but I would plan what it was that I was going to drink so that I could be that person. So wine was going to make me sweet and cuddly and weepy eventually. Whiskey was going to make me mean. Um, Gin I would go crazy. And tequila is very sexual.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to get laid when I was drinking tequila.
yeah.
Uh,
Just
um,
plan your night out.
yeah, I had it all planned, and then the spiral happened, and I was sitting alone at home with a dirty mirror and a bag. Um, you know, uh, I really thought I was pretty hot shit. I thought I had it all figured out, and if only anyone could figure it out like me, righteous.
Yeah, yeah. How did that spiral start for you?
Hmm. Um, I found a way to be in relationship with other addicts
Mhm.
that were worse off than me. So then the spotlight wouldn't be on me; it would be on them, and I could be victimized by them.
Yeah,
And uh, I don't know that it was conscious, but it was pretty. Mm, how much is conscious really when we're that far gone? But I'd say I chose them. I saw what they were doing. I saw what they were up to. I saw the look in their eyes. I knew what I was doing. And then I could be a disaster, but as long as I wasn't as bad as they were, I was okay, and I could be the victim. And then it was something like the relationship wasn't really over till the cops showed up. I went through that for several years, and yes, domestic violence is terrible and it's awful. And for me, on the other side, it was a part of the addiction. It was part of the manipulation. So to put myself in those situations and to not leave those kinds of situations was more of the addiction.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We all talk about rock bottom, and I know for me, I've had multiple rock bottoms. Uh, what did rock bottom look like for you?
Hmm. I bumped along the bottom for a few years. I falling down the stairs in a fight with my boyfriend at the time. Um, and I woke up, I don't know, 18 hours later, and bruises everywhere, and just picked up and pretended like it was okay. Suicide attempts, more than one. And then when I woke up the next morning, I'd be like, "Fuck,
Yeah,
I got to go back to my life." I'd be so pissed that I was alive. I was so angry. Um, and then I started going to NA, but drinking. I took a 3-month chip on 3 bottles of wine.
wow. Mm.
That was pretty dark. Like I say that, and that was dark. I knew I had to just reek, and no one said anything. And so it was like, well, what do you want to say? How'd you do it? Slurring, taking my chip.
Yeah,
And then it was just the despair started to speed up, where it was maybe once every 10 years I would want to die, and then I would actually try something and wake up again. And then it was once every 5 years and a really bad breakup or something. Um, I had family kind of come be around me when I started dating someone because they knew that I was going to spin out and try and hurt myself after. And then it was every few months, and then it was once a month, and then it was once a week. And then the despair and the self-loathing was just more than I could
yeah,
handle.
yeah. What was that point in which you said shit needs to change because this ain't working?
There's one really bad day, really bad morning where I know he's starting the shower because the first one always comes back up,
Hmm.
and I just like I couldn't, and I was like begged for grace, just and it wasn't even help me stop. It was just take me, just let me fall off a cliff or just let something happen because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And uh, with a little, I lived in a little tiny town with 3 liquor stores and a bar. And I would go to the grocery store and then the liquor store and then say every single morning, well, I'm cooking with alcohol every single morning. And we played this game, the woman behind the counter, and she'd be like, yeah, you have a good time. And I picked up the newspaper and I was paging through the paper, and that was still, do people still like look in the newspaper for AA? It was in the newspaper, and I cut it out and put it in the fridge, and I went for a few more days,
Mhm.
uh, and then I just walked in.
Mhm. What was that first meeting like for you?
I don't remember it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I wanted to separate myself. I wanted to not be like them. I wanted to. They were all disasters, and I was very well put together. And they're small town Hobunk people, and my story was nothing like any of theirs.
Yeah.
And I kept popping peppermint beads so I wouldn't smell.
How
Hmm.
how quickly did it take you to realize that you're just like them?
More than a year.
Yeah.
I still and oh my gosh, they're just bless their heart. And I don't mean that in a shitty way. Like thank goddess. Just keep coming back, Megan. Okay. You can hate me. It's all good. Just keep coming back. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay. And I'd come back drunk and I'd come back with the shakes and they'd be like, it's okay. And then I got a day. And then I got 2 days. And I wasn't even anything was really I wasn't doing the steps. I was just going to meetings. And then and then I had a week. And then I had 21 days and then I went back. But huh, you know what? It's an imperfect program, but it saved my life.
Absolutely. And I'm a part of a few online groups that talk, AA groups and stuff like that. And people chastise a lot of the people that go back out and come back in,
Yeah,
right? And I say, the only requirement for AA is a desire to quit drinking. That's it, right? Like, it doesn't say you have to be sober, right? We all
right,
had to start somewhere. We all had to start somewhere. There's a desire. People just don't have the understanding of how to stop.
right,
They don't know how to. Some people, just want to be able to drink on the weekends, and then later on they realize I can't do that. Right? There's a desire there to stop drinking or to limit, and then they get to that point where they're able to acquire some time, acquire knowledge, work the steps. Um, Also, I know another problem a lot of people face in AA is the whole God thing.
mm.
Is that something that you had a problem with?
I would say I'm pretty anti-religious. I'm very spiritual. I'm anti-religious, and
Yeah.
so that's one of the reasons why I tried to hide out in NA for a while because it was not as gaudy.
Yeah.
Um, and going to AA was the end of the line for me. I resisted. I tried not to. I would go to meetings and then stop going. It was like 10 years worth of going and not going and going. And finally it was I'll just do whatever you say. I got it. In my own way, in my own version for the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But going in and going back out, there's all sorts of ways to go out. There's all sorts of things that we can do that doesn't have to do with physical sobriety, that isn't actually sobriety. And this is our life right now. This is what we do. Emotional sobriety, or I spin out about work. That's, for me, that's relapse energy. Relapse energy is not eating how I need to eat, or not going to the gym how I know that I need to do for my brain, or not taking my supplements, or there's all sorts of ways to relapse that doesn't have to do with me picking up a drink.
Absolutely. When I got into recovery and I started working my program, I had no idea that there was a mental, emotional, and then physical relapse. No idea. And then my one of my counselors started laying out the mental, emotional, and I was like, that makes so much sense. Holy crap. And that was like one of my weird aha moments, because I was like, I have planned relapses months, even days in advance,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, and I just I didn't have the concept that I was doing it in that moment,
Mhm.
because the thought comes into play before the actual use does.
Mhm.
Um, so when did the addiction to food come into play?
I was about 2 years. I had about 2 years, and it was COVID,
Hmm.
and I was um, trying to quit smoking. And I had also sent in a sample of my poop to find out what I should and shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
And so it came back with this very regimented of meal plan of what I should and shouldn't eat. And what I didn't know was the regimenting kicked off anorexia.
Oh
No
wow.
idea. And I lost a bunch of weight. My hair was falling out. People were saying, "Are you okay?" And then you can always I can tell now who the other people with eating disorders would be like, if I lost a lot of weight really fast, they would say, "Oh, you look so great." I really didn't. I didn't. I've seen videos of myself, and it looked awful. And I was super proud because I was bony, and you could see the ribs in my chest, and the body went into this starvation. And when the body goes into starvation, it needs to eat. And so I then started to eat, and I couldn't stop. I started to relate to it like a binge eating disorder, when really it was not. It was a life of controlling my food. Um, and to, I knew that I needed to quit drinking. I knew that I needed to stop smoking crack. I knew that I needed to do that stuff. I had no idea there was a food problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of women that suffer through that when they get into recovery. The food portion, the food aspect. I interviewed somebody a few weeks ago, and she said the same thing, and I was just like, I didn't know that was a thing either. But I mean, technically, I mean, we can be addicted to anything,
Right.
really.
Right. Well, and in control,
Yeah.
it's really about control, feeling out of control. And it's an acceptable thing, because what woman doesn't have a complicated relationship with food? Or
Yeah.
what woman doesn't is it works to count her calories or to look a certain way. And whether we're going in heroin chic or not, it body and size, and it's I think it's a lifelong struggle. I still have body dysmorphia. I still cannot trust what I see in the mirror.
Yeah.
I have to have a coach and a trainer who's looking at pictures and telling me what I see back, because I can't trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when when you started working on the food addiction, how hard was that for you?
that was really hard.
Yeah.
That was hmm. That was hard. I don't know that I really, so I was working the steps, but I don't know that I really got step one for 9 months.
Mhm.
And then it was connected to relationships too. So I would connect that to toxic relationships, unavailable men. I would surround myself with them or other addicts, bring in other addicts, and then I would get myself so worked up because the fight or flight response is for me what I would deem as attractive. And that was like the energy of attraction was fight or flight. And so then cause that to be that to be the reason, right? If only it
Mhm.
weren't for that person, then I would be able to control myself. If only it weren't something outside of me, then I would be fine.
Yeah.
It's just heartbreaking, you know?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. It's definitely hard. It's definitely hard. So, given your time in recovery for drugs, alcohol, and food, um, what is what is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned?
mm. To choose myself.
Yeah.
The self-love, it's too new agey, new too but drinking was about appearing or feeling in a way that I was acceptable because I never felt acceptable. I always felt weird.
Yeah.
I didn't fit. Cocaine gave me the sense of power,
Yeah.
um, uh, strength, um, detaching, controlling food, like getting high off of being hungry or high off of my hips jutting out. That's a sense of power as well. Um, and it's how I appear
Mhm.
outside,
Yeah.
being able to control the external narrative. Who sees me? What do they think of me? Am I good looking? Am I lovable? Am I all of this? It's all about what's happening out there. So, to church bells are really soothing to my
It's okay.
nervous system. I just love them.
It's okay.
Be able to choose
Yeah.
uh, in everything, myself and how I nourish myself and how I connect with the divine and how I travel and how I do my business and how I love. Um, that's the piece that I didn't get that. I didn't see that in the big book. I didn't get that. Even in meetings, I would be like trying to be like everybody else and how they're talking and tell my story like how they were talking, instead of uh, really be able to choose the words that were coming out of my mouth and how I'm going to communicate myself. Um, that changed everything.
How has choosing yourself been to the biggest benefit to you?
Hmm. How I'm going to show up. Um, my life has been about how do I appear? And am I saying the right things? Do I look good? Is someone going to choose me? Is someone going to love me? Is someone going to notice me?
Yeah.
It's a reparenting that's done at a really deep level. And then this is a little woo, but doors start to open that weren't opening before. Um, it seems that things magnetize in. It seems like I go through life to open doors now,
Yeah.
where before I just so wanted someone to notice me and pounding on these doors, and um, seems to magnetize in life.
Yeah. You talked about doors opening up, and that's very reminiscent from my past 6 months, I guess. Um, I was one of control, where I needed to control every situation in my life, regardless as to if it ended badly or not.
Mm.
And recently, the surrender, fucking hate that word, surrender. Fucking hate it. Uh, but I was faced with a situation within the past year or so, and I was just like, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna let it happen the way that it happens. And one door shut and 10 opened up, and I was just like amazed at how life works out when you just surrender.
Mm.
And you just say, this, I can't fix this. I can't fix this myself. I can't do any of this. I just have to let things happen the way that they're meant to happen. Life on life's terms. I hate that shit, but it's so true.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So I asked this question prior to hitting record, but you said recently, within 6 weeks, yeah, you
Yes.
moved to Lecce, Italy. Why is that?
Well, I decided about a year ago I didn't want to live in the States anymore. It's a little over a year. Um, some things, some politics, some of the economy, what I think is wrong, I don't think is going to be fixed anytime soon. So there's this thing called astrocartography, where we take our astrological chart and we put it on top of the world. And you could use it for travel or living. And over North America was harsh lines, Saturn lines, transforming lines. And everywhere where I had lived, there was a Saturn line that went. And it made perfect sense. Colorado was all about transformation. And in Europe, in Europe, there are two places. And then more Eastern Europe, there's one place where the lines are very lucky. And one of them goes right over this little town in Italy that I am in right now. And another is in Norway, which I may try, but I also am complete with winter. I'm done with cold and winter. And then another one is Turkey. So I'm here for easy. I'm really good with struggle and the hard and being a martyr and suffering and having some sort of badge because life is hard and wearing my suffering badges. I'm really good with that. I am down for easy and simple and good food and love and surrounded by people that I adore. And so I picked up my pit bull and we moved to Italy.
Nice, nice. That's an awesome choice. Awesome choice. Um, my whole life I'd been on this hunt to find happiness. I don't know if you were there too, but I was always on this hunt to find happiness. And when I moved to my hometown where I'm at now, I changed that to find peace.
Mm.
And when I finally just accepted that, I needed to look for peace, like peace literally was like, hey man, I'm right here. I've been waiting.
Mm.
And it came to me. Is that kind of what you were on the hunt for too? Was peace?
Peace. It's been so hard. Life has been hard and pious. I get to talk about how difficult it was, or talk about my trauma, and that's why whatever addiction struggle was why money has been hard, or whatever. But yeah, peace. Um, I would say that's accurate. I am learning. Um, there's a period called resta here. It's kind of like siesta. Everything shuts down from 1:30 to 4:30. There's no stores open. No one's in the offices. Everything shuts down, and it's to go home and eat and walk and take a nap and love. And the Italians are very social, so I'm learning my worth is not attached to my income. My worth is not attached to how hard I work or how much I struggle or how hard I push. My back to the choice. If I pull myself back in, that's peace.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I I wish more people would hear that. My worth is not attached to my money. My worth is
Mm.
not attached to my work ethic. Because there's so many people that waste their life away for the dollar.
Right.
Or 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 making 40 hours, 80 hours a week when the rest of your life is falling apart.
Right. It's
Yeah,
another way to relapse is to work and work and
yeah,
work.
absolutely, absolutely. So, what has been the biggest benefits that you've seen so far in the 6 weeks that you've been there, to your mental health?
I feel the frenetic energy of the States detaching from me.
Yeah,
I was in a small town for a couple of weeks right on the sea, and the Wi-Fi was terrible. And I am American, and I have to work. You don't understand. I have to work.
yeah,
And my Airbnb host was like, "Rest, have some lunch. I'll get to it." So I'm learning. It's not life or death, and the internet will be there when it's there, and I'll connect when I need to connect. And why don't I sit and have a nice long lunch instead?
yeah.
And digest and love and touch. The Italians are very tactile. Um, it's a gentler life. I find that I am being gentler with myself. My internal narrative is shifting even more, and even my repetitive dreams are shifting, softening.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, before we wrap up, let's talk about what do you do for work? Now that you're
I own an educational company. I work with empaths, neurodivergents, in having their businesses be really great.
That's awesome.
And many of us, I think a lot of us addicts, our brains are a little bit different. And which comes first, the brain difference or the addiction? I don't know. And there's a way to make it all work. There's a way that we can live well and eat well and make money well. That is not the way the rest of the world does it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Neurotypicals have what looks like a terrible life to me. It looks awful, where no one actually says what they need to say, and the social cues and the hierarchy and the competitiveness. It doesn't look like it's fun for me, but how they do business seems to work for them. So all the big box or box in a business kind of courses and programs and very Tony Robbins raw. That's great. That's not really what works for us. And how is it that we can reconnect to our hearts and be guided from our hearts and our intuition and how to make business work?
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think that there needs to be more people like you out there.
Mm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, what bit of advice would you give to somebody that's struggling in either in their early recovery or trying to figure out if they want to get sober, get clean, or work on themselves? What would you give to them?
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Somebody said many times to me, and I always hated hearing this. My worst days now are better than my best days then.
Yeah.
And I can't. There's no way to communicate it in a way it gets better. And there's not even anything that you need to do. You just go to a meeting. Just go to a meeting. And it's not about your sense of willpower, and it's not about your weakness, and it's not if only you were stronger, or if only you were a better person, or raised better, or didn't have trauma, or any of those things. Some of us just have the brains that we have.
Yeah,
So just go to a meeting.
absolutely. Absolutely. Megan, where can we find you at?
Mm. Facebook, Megan M. Riley. Instagram, Megan M. Riley. And website is meganmriley.com.
That's awesome. I'm gonna check you out. I think we're
Mm.
friends on Facebook, or I'm
I
following you,
think
one
so.
of the two.
I think so.
Anyways, Megan, I want to take a minute and say thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your struggle and your reemergence and your victories. That's awesome.
Mm. Thank
You're
you
an
so much.
amazing human being. I hope you know that.
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody, I want to say thank you for hanging out with us for this time and listening to Megan's story. She's so awesome, so inspirational to me, and and I'm excited to see where the future leads her. So much love, y'all. Be good. Have a good day. Bye.